Africa, do you feel it? Africa. Now, Oakland, I know what you're thinking. What did Africa look like? Africa looked just like Oakland. I'm serious. They're going to fool you, make you believe that Africa they naked and they got bones in their noses. Don't believe that hype. It's beautiful over there. That's your heritage. It's beautiful. And they don't want you to know that. When I was over there, I got surprised. Because it's just like being right here. The only thing about it is that right outside, it'll be an elephant just...
Greetings to all my good-hearted men and women, street soldiers, and the 12 tribes scattered across the four corners of the world. For those who have an ear, let them hear. General G coming back with part 2 to Consider Africa video. The first video, I explained how the Ghanaian president was welcoming back African Americans back to the mainland and speaking on different events happening in Africa, but I want to give you a little bit more details. As I always say, what? Educate yourself. So I came back with a little bit more information on this video to give you about Africa and why. Like I said, I wouldn't say I would go, but I will consider it. I will consider it. I will think about it. I will do my homework, and hopefully this video will encourage you to at least consider it as well. So I took a little bit of notes. One of the main reasons I would consider going to Africa is the biblical presence that's always been mentioned with Africa. Ethiopia, or the African nation itself, has been mentioned over 45 times in the Bible. That's where the Messiah, what most of y'all call Jesus Christ, Yehovah, whatever name you choose to use, but you know the Bible, he went and hid in Africa when the kings was trying to persecute all the firstborn sons, you know, to find Christ. So it's always been a connection with Africa, Hebrew Israelites, and just God's people in general. So off that intrigue alone is one of the main reasons I would consider returning to Africa. Also, as I say, it's always conspiracies. I got this from an article in the Patriot that reads, quote, "The whole region that includes what the Bible calls the land of Canaan, Palestine, and Israel was an extension of the African mainland before it was artificially divided from the main African continent by the man-made Suez Canal, which was built in 1859 through 1869. Also read in the article of the Patriot was, quote, "Second World War correspondents introduced the new name Middle East for the portion of the land separated from the African mainland, which before then was known as Northeastern Africa." And I don't want to sway too bit off a topic, but just like I say with the Bible, man has always tried to deceive, confuse the masses of people for their own benefits. Going back to the identity of Christ, it's not what we believe with the long straight hair and non-melanated face. The Bible says it's definitely a melanated face with woolly hair. Same with the dividing of Africa. They have you thinking the Middle East is not part of Africa, but according to this article, it specifically shows you how they first built the Suez Canal. You build structures, frames to divide the land, then you rename it, as they said the World War II correspondents did, and then you change the people. You take out, which like they said was called Northeastern Africa, you take out the Northeastern African people, and you bring in the more Moabite, Arab-looking people, and call it the Middle East. So not only did you change the structure with the Suez Canal and other buildings or whatever, then you rezoned it, naming it the Middle East, and then you changed the people and culture that was there. To bring that up, to show you it's always deceptions. So for those reasons, the deceptions and the biblical references to Africa is the spiritual reasons why I would consider it. Now I took some notes for y'all. I did a top 8 relocations in Africa for you. Now it's people that have took that step and relocated to Africa. Like I said, I'm not saying I would or wouldn't. I would consider it though. But if you want to see familiar faces, or if you're considering or already got one foot out the door, this is some research I've done. Top 8 places to relocate Africa. Number 8, Republic of Tanzania. Number 7, Democratic Republic of Congo. Number 6, Republic of Senegal. Number 5, Republic of Nigeria. Number 4, Republic of Rwanda. Number 3, Republic of Uganda. Number 2, Republic of Kenya. Number 1, Republic of Ghana, which the president, like I said in the first video, is welcoming. So it makes sense that they're number 1 in the relocation. Also, cost of living in Africa as a whole, 41.71% lower than the cost in the U.S. That definitely would make me consider it. And even better than that, South Africa, 58.52% lower than U.S. And the top 3 index cost of living places in Africa is Harare, excuse me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, in Zimbabwe. Number 2, Pretoria, which is located in South Africa. And number 3, Johannesburg, which is also located in South Africa. Of course, there's things you have to worry about. The famine, situation with the disease. A lot of the areas in Africa have very poor air quality. And of course, the high crime rate. Mostly crime includes murder, rape, and assault. But I feel if you get good-hearted men and women and change the culture, even though the crime rate, air pollution, things can change. As I referred to in my first videos, speaking to the street members, gang banging can evolve. Everything gets better, and like I say, evolves to something greater. So same thing with Africa. Even though it has its downsides and places and regions, trust me, with the spirit of the Most High God and good-hearted men and women, things can easily be turned around. So because of the financial costs, spiritually connections, those are the reasons General G would consider relocating to Africa. Hopefully I've run you some information or said 1 or 2, 3 words that maybe key your interest in doing some study and research, and have you maybe considering returning to the homeland. All life began over there, regardless of what you think. So hopefully, like I said, I piqued some interest. For those who have an ear, let them hear. To the next video, this is General G.
Gathered to initiate the year of commemoration of one of the most momentous events of history, the commencement of the transatlantic slave trade, which brought tens of millions of Africans to the Americas, North, Central, and South. We know of the horrors that accompanied that forced journey. We know of the brutalities that were meted out to them during their stay in the Americas. We know of the great difficulties they have encountered in attempting to assimilate and live and maintain their dignity in the Americas. We know of the extraordinary achievements and contributions they have made to the life of the Americas. And it is important that in this symbolic year, 400 years later, we commemorate their existence and their sacrifices. It was in anticipation of the year of commemoration that my great childhood friend, colleague, and associate, the late Jake Otanka Obeche-Bilamti, then Minister of Tourism in President John Ajekun Kufuor's government, a government of which I was part as Foreign Minister, launched in celebration of Ghana's Golden Jubilee the Joseph Project, the project that identified the need to symbolize the return of the prodigal son who was lost and found. I would like to dedicate this whole ceremony and this to his memory. He insisted on granting easy visas to all returnees, and then we should give force to the right of abode. I think it's the duty of my government to do both of those things in commemorating the message. But I would like to say in conclusion that the most important consequences of all the activity we're here to initiate is that together on both sides of the Atlantic, we will work together to make sure that never again will we allow a handful of people with superior technology to walk into Africa, seize their peoples, and sell them into slavery.
You heard me. That was a few words from the Ghanaian president. I love what he had to say. Easy visas. He's offering easy visas for those to return. And he also proclaims 2019 the year of the return. For those who have an ear, let them hear. To the next video.